It's Share the Hope again. Just another journey on our vacation. We decided to stop at the National Museum of Cambridge class. It's a National Cambridge collection. It was open from 1901 to 1954, and then they eventually closed down. We saw all kinds of different kinds of glass that was made here, and we bought a few souvenirs, and they were nice enough to give us a donation that we're hoping to give away on our channel. So stay tuned for updates on that. And bada bing, bada boom. See ya.
Glass is made from pure silica sand and several other chemicals which are carefully mixed together in controlled quantities so that just the right quality of glass results. To this mixture they add
some places, but in front was the office building. The next building was what they called the hot metal department. That's where those large furnaces were. The next building was where they cooled the glass very slowly, and then back through all the different departments. In the early years, the company even owned their own coal mines. The coal was mined. They brought it right into this division right here. They gasified the coal to get the gas to run the big furnaces. And that's one of the reasons the plant located here was natural resources. But the museum is arranged in chronological order. So these 4 cases are all between 1902 and 1920. Now, Laura showed you the near-cut trademark. That was under the near-cut trademark, there were several different patterns. I love these little vases down here. Those were for the old Model T cars. They clamped them in the door, fresh flowers. Can you imagine people doing that today? They'd probably take you away to somewhere. And then they had the ball string, the string holders, butter presses. And you know, years ago, people didn't have much money, so if they could get a plain, clear crystal dish, on the back of that are cigar bands. They would save cigar bands, apply those to the piece, and then put a decoupage on the back. They made glass doorknobs in the early years.
We had a bunch of glass doorknobs in our
Did ya?
Yeah.
I wonder if they're Cambridge. They could have been.
Sure.
They could have
I
been.
noticed you got souvenir glasses.
Yeah, they did those in the
Souvenir
early years.
bottles.
Yeah. And some of them will have somebody's name, like Irma in 1926, and you know.
And Carnival, yeah.
Uh-huh.
The original Carnival you didn't probably have. Yeah.
No, and Cambridge didn't do much carnival, so that's really, everybody wants it today.
Do you have any Goofus glass?
Goofus is when they just put pieces together.
Pieces together.
We had, well, this monkey right here was end of the day when a worker took glass from different pots, colors, and poured it into the mold.
Yeah.
So this one is, of course, one of a kind, and everybody wants it. So as we go around, be sure to look on top at all the large items, the funnels, the punch bowls, lamps, things like that. Beautiful.
Yeah, they are.
They also made sets for children to play with. The little tumblers and pitchers. And in the early years, they made glass candy containers. Those would be filled with those little colorful glass candy balls. So late teens, early 20s, they stopped making the near-cut era, the heavy press glassware, and that's when the company began to develop over 40 beautiful colors and hundreds of different designs. As you come past, be sure to look at the monkey and the owl. These were lamps. They were electric, and so there was a bulb inside. Well, that was before LED bulbs, so guess what? Heat would build up in there, and a lot of them got cracked and damaged. But this little guy has a little bit of glass in there that
You can see.
it's probably primrose, which is one of the opaque colors here. I'll show you that glows. But ebony was introduced in 1916, and this color was in production until the company closed. Beautiful perfumes and atomizers. The tall lady on the bottom shelf, that was private mold work. Those were made for department stores to display hats, jewelry, and things like that. And I'll tell you a story about this girl. One of our members was driving around in Florida down the street, and they happened to look over at a beauty shop, and that head was in the window with a wig on. So they pulled over and they bought it.
Oh.
Now here she is, back home in Cambridge. But this is some of the hand painting they did, again, in the early years.
That's neat.
Roaring 20s, what was popular? The opaques and primrose glows under black light. It has a little bit of depleted uranium oxide in it. Also, so does ivory. So in this era, we had the opaques, the primrose, helio, azurite, ivory, and jade. I love jade. This is the first room air freshener. It was electric, had a bulb in it. You put a couple drops of perfume on the top, plugged it in. When it got hot, it would make your room smell lovely. All this elegant glass, and then you know what that is?
That's
For a bird cage.
okay.
They would snap those on the bird cage. There's a hole on the other side, so then the bird could get his seed, his water. Don't know why, but. So at this point, they started into all the beautiful tableware. Pitchers, any kind of a glass or goblet that you could think about drinking. The syrups, the tall syrup with the lid, and it came with the underplate because years ago people used tablecloths and they didn't want to get the syrup on their tablecloth early in the week. And notice the pitchers up there, they have lids. Why would those pitchers have lids? Because it was before air conditioning. You had your lemonade, you served your lemonade, you put the lid back on so the bugs could get in. And this pitcher over here, the insert on the inside of it, that's where you put your ice cubes. So on a hot day, as they started to melt, the water didn't dilute your beverage. I think, way ahead of their time, you know?
People do today.
Yeah. So the next set of colors, they stopped making the opaques. Yes, they were pastel transparent colors. The first one of those is the light emerald, and this color, everybody's crazy about it because it glows. A lot of the figural flower holders, they would put the flower holders in the flip bowls, put their water, fresh flower down to the openings. Beautiful lemonade sets and vases, pitchers.
That's interesting with the different colors.
Yeah,
What's on
that's
there
the
with
light
the-
emerald with the peach blood, the pink.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And that was for the ladies. That was your powder, rouge, eyebrow pencil, and lipstick.
That's interesting.
Over here we have, Laura showed you the keyhole shape and the ball does, so it gives you a really easy way to start recognizing Cambridge. On the top shelf here, you'll see a 1936 movie, The Ex-Mrs. Bradford. During this time period, Cambridge sent a lot of glass to Hollywood for the prop rooms, and we're still seeing it today. We've got 2 cases over there. We just got a new Cambridge glass sighting in. It's a series that's kind of like Yellowstone, 1923. Have you heard of it? There's Cambridge glass in it, so it's like, all right, something new. These are the little nut cups, sugar shakers. Some of them had the glass lids. That was for powdered sugar. So when you're having your waffle, you'd shake your powdered sugar. Wouldn't you feel so fancy? Yeah. And I love, these are the creamers, and they're footed, so they just stand a little more tall. Rubina, gorgeous. The Cambridge Glass Company employed their own chemist that developed the formulas for all the colors. Now, Rubina was a reactive formula, so it was reactive to heat. So each piece had to be reheated and cooled in a small oven 3 times to get the variation in color. It's beautiful. Mulberry, one of their first purple colors. Do you know what this is?
My dad used to call it depression, where that's all I knew.
Yeah, these were, people would put them in the middle of their dining table.
Oh, it's like
4
Lazy
candle
Susan.
wells. You put a candle, and 2 on the back. The flower frog, you put water in it, put her down in there, and then you put your fresh flower stems down through those openings.
Okay.
Fancy.
That is.
You'd spend all day getting your table ready. The bottom of the shelf, we have the after dinner cups and saucers. Some of the etchings filled with gold. This is called the Imperial Hunt scene etching. Now, Arthur J. Bennett, who owned the Cambridge Glass Company, he was born in England, came to this country when he was 20 years old, had some jobs on the East Coast, was sent to Cambridge in 1902. So, you know, English influence here. The horse and the little big holes chasing, the hunt scene.
That metal plate you guys gave us earlier to look at, I think it was.
Oh, it was. That was
Okay.
the Imperial Hunt,
Okay.
yes. As you pass by this case, you'll see some of the ladies, the figure of flower frogs. Here we have topaz. A lot of people call it Vaseline glass, but it glows pretty well. Laura showed you the little ball jugs, the 4 lines, that's the smallest, the salt and peppers.
Did they know it glowed back when it was made, or?
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I just don't think everybody was into UV light
Yeah.
back then. I just love these. These you put in the top of a vase. So when you put your flower stems down in the vase, it would hold the arrangement in proper order. These were for your table, put water, fresh flowers, and they were blocked so you could make any design you wanted. And I love bluebell. That's a beautiful color, but it was only in production 1 year, which we don't know whether it wasn't popular or whether they couldn't get the chemicals for the formula. But you know, during the world wars and the Great Depression, they had trouble getting, you know, what they needed.
Yeah.
So we had the light emerald, gold crystal, willow blue, and peach blood were the next set of colors after the opaque colors. Gold crystal is very pale. People say, why do you have a spoon in your case? Well, years ago, the glass, china, and silver companies all worked together to provide the ladies with the most perfect table. So, this spoon was made, the design on the back of the spoon matches the etching in the stem on the Cambridge stoneware behind it.
Wow, that's neat.
Everybody had to match back then. Today, not so much. Amber was introduced in 1924, and this color was very popular and ran into the 50s. It's amazing. She showed you that keyhole vase. There's a very large keyhole on the relish tray in the back there.
Okay.
This was a breakfast set. There were holes drilled in the top to release the steam, so when they served your breakfast, your toast wouldn't be all soggy.
Okay.
So I really have a weird question, just because of my
Nothing's
taste.
weird.
So this is a popular one, you said.
Yeah.
I love the color of that more. How was
Well,
this
yeah.
more popular? Just because of functionality, or people like
You
that
never
color?
know. And like that color, they might not have been able to make it for very long due to the availability of the coloring agents and things for the batch.
Okay. So this might have been easier to make.
Yeah, it probably was because the formula and the chemicals for that formula could have been cheaper.
Okay. I gotcha.
Oh, I don't know, but some of the Cambridge perfume bottles. Years ago, film star Myrna Loy purchased her perfume bottles from the Cambridge Glass Company. These pieces were called the Everglade line. And the candlestick up here, this is Everglade. They really had trouble getting that out of the mold because of all the leaves, just thinking it was hot and soft. But they're beautiful. Love the little keg set. You took the top off, put your favorite beverage in there. Use the little spout, get your little glass. These were for the ladies, powder, perfume, and there are 4 indentations to do your nails. This was a shaving set for the man. And what do you think this was for? To me, it looked like a grasshopper. But anyway, these, when people play cards, your card table, it would set on the corner, 90-degree angle, so the person on each side would be able to put their drink there. So you'd have 2 for each card table of 4 people.
Okay.
Peach blood, this color is very popular. And this was for your roast beef. Had the little place for your horseradish sauce. These large bowls were called flip bowls because they flip down. But again, you put your water in, your flower figure, and on your fresh flowers. People must have had time to grow flowers years ago. I love this vase. That, you know, it's Cambridge because it has the keyhole shape. Cambridge had a very limited line of kitchenware. That's probably the only little hand mixer left in existence. And it is signed with the triangle C.
See, I have a green
depression
Yeah.
where like that notebook that big,
Uh-huh.
and it has the,
Little, oh, you better hang on to that.
yeah, that was their grandfather's.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this one, we have a big glass showing sale every June here at the Civic Center, and one of the glass dealers from Minnesota had that in his booth, and I'm like, oh, would you donate that to the museum? Because, you know, people think it's all elegant, but yet they did functional glassware to some extent. Over here, I'll let you go in and look in the room, and I'll talk from out here. But on the far back wall, we have some of the Cambridge barware. On that second shelf, love the airplane. You took out the propeller, put your favorite beverage in, had the little spigot spout on the back. The cases on each side of the barware are experimentals, pieces they tried, but for some reason never put into production.
Yeah.
And the first case back here, Cambridge sold a small amount of items in Sears and Roebuck catalog.
I just have to tell you, Mike called, the dog did fine.
Oh, okay.
He's home.
Got a new puppy. Left her alone today. These were called Tall Joes and Little Joes. They're very difficult to drink out of. I've tried. Need a big long straw. Now, Cambridge sold what they called Harlequin sets. One shape and then in 8 different colors, so that would really brighten your table. And over here on the bottom shelf, the amber piece is an aquarium. And I don't know how a fish would have survived in there. I lifted that into the case and it weighs a lot. I can imagine it's filled with water and fish. Those poor fish would never get their water changed. But the pieces on these 2 shelves during World War II, the Cambridge Glass Company donated tons of the iron molds to support the scrap iron drive.
Ready?
And we will head down into the 1930s. See, you're warping through time here. Oh, those are, and you know, those are the only pieces we've ever seen. And every one of the pieces we've ever seen had the silver applied on the edge. Now the bottom was like painted, and then they did an acid treatment on top of the painting. They're high maintenance though, because that tarnishes. Ooh. Here we have some of the Cambridge candlesticks, candelabra. Here's the movie The Rainmaker with Matt Damon has the Cambridge candlesticks. The candelabras on this shelf were part of the Cambridge Arms line. 101 ways to give your table a new look, because the 4-candle arm one has 3 sticking out, but one in the middle. You could put candles in it. You could put those peg vases. You could put the little nappies. You could build them up, spread them out. Every day when you sat down to dinner, there would be a new arrangement on the table.
How much would something like that cost then in today?
It's hard. They were affordable.
They were. Okay.
They were affordable. Some things weren't. When we get down to the Carmen with the gold on, people in Cambridge couldn't afford it. So amethyst was introduced in 1931. In fact, in 1931, during the Great Depression, they introduced 4 beautiful dark colors. Amethyst is one. On this shelf, you'll see what we call her the Flying Lady Bowl, because the story goes a circus came to Cambridge in the late 1920s, which was a big deal in a small town, and all the glass workers went to the circus. Well, they were amazed, but they were particularly amazed with this Austrian trapeze artist. So they went back to the factory, drew a photo of how they could create a mold, and there we have the Flying Lady Bowl. And you'll see a lot of those in movies.
So the factory wasn't even around from here.
Have you heard of Farberware, Farber Brothers? So, Farber Chrome Craft. So, they bought the glass inserts from Cambridge, snapped those in their chrome holders, and they would do the marketing on this. And the ladies loved it because they didn't have to polish. They stayed bright, shiny, clean. Sold, these are some of the little shot glasses, some of the little animals they made in the early years, salt dips.
Had our own mold shop. Making those metal molds was very expensive.
So amethyst, another 1931 color, is royal blue. And just look at this beautiful stemware. Now, you saw in the film, the glass was very soft. When they took that stem out of the mold, my question is, how did they keep it straight? You'd think when it was warm it would have, but that, oh, gorgeous. Years ago, Clark Gable, when he married Carol Lombard, they received a royal blue luncheon set as their wedding gift. We have Clark Gable over here of Gone with the Wind fame. He purchased out of the Cambridge, Georgian Tupperware line to use in his home. Love these little canapé sets, snack sets. Some of the enamelware. You see these little mugs, you know they're Cambridge because they've got those 4 lines around them. Carmen was their most expensive color because Carmen, when it came out of the mold, it had to be reheated again to bring out the beautiful color. Now pieces like this with the gold decorating and the etchings, we've got copies of invoices. A lot of it was shipped to South America, probably to wealthier families, but the average person, they wouldn't have been able to afford it. And here we have our Flying Lady again in the Carmen with the statuesque candlesticks. We have the statuesque line, very popular in Hollywood. Years ago, Douglas Fairbanks and Mary Pickford purchased this line to entertain in their Hollywood homesick fair. So you had the cordials, the brandies, the V-shaped cocktails, the sauternes, the roamers, the clarets, the banquets, the champagnes. They even made a covered sweetmeat. Everybody needs a covered sweetmeat on their table, don't they? We had to Google it. We didn't know what it was. They even had a gift box years ago. You got the 6 clarets in a gift box. I'd like to have that under my Christmas tree. If anybody wants to give me a gift.
Doorknobs, you'll see more doorknobs to go on.
Forest green, the 4th color introduced in 1931. It's like forest green. I'm not a big green person, but I think this color kind of looks like forest. You know, forest green kind of has a little bit of a yellowish cast to it.
Very Wizard of Oz.
Yes, the Emerald City. Here we have some of the bookends, Scotty Dog, the Lion bookends, serving pieces. We have the deviled eggs, the lobster, the asparagus, the oyster. And I love these little sets. This was a game set with your diamond, spade, heart, and club. Now the etching.
Did you say what this was here? I'm sorry, I missed it if you did.
You don't know what it is?
I had a guess, but I feel like I'm very
It's
off.
a silent butler. So when you were entertaining very fancy with your friends,
Yeah.
your butler, as he saw crumbs on the table, would come over, open them, and sweep them up.
Got it. Okay.
So,
I couldn't tell. Like,
I love those silent butlers. And that was that Farber, the crumb crab.
Gotcha. Thank you. Sorry.
No, is that what you thought it was used for?
Nope.
Wrong guess.
I mean, definitely.
But you know, they make metal ones they used 2 years ago as bed warmers.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking something along close to that line.
They would put them under the mattress to keep them warm.
Yeah.
This design is the Cambridge Rose Point etching. It was marketed highly to brides of the era. And you can tell it's like a medallion or kind of a key in the middle with then roses floating around it. Now, the Carmen, the red with the golden crested rose point, that wouldn't have been I mean, you had to have money to buy that. There's not much of it either. Everyone loves, up here we have Heather Bloom. And the color Heather Bloom, it was very expensive to make because of the coloring agent, which is neodymium. It looks different under different lights. Under more yellow light, it looks more purple. Under fluorescent light, it takes a kind of a bluish cast to it. And don't you love this little perfume bottle with that long dauber? Oh, I'll take that too. Windsor Blue, only a very short-lived color for 1 year. Don't know if it wasn't popular or they couldn't get the chemicals for the formula.
And there's that lady, Flying Lady.
Oh, there she is, yes. Flying Lady. Amber again, and these are a little bit later shapes. We still see the Farber holders and things like that. Now over here we have, the etchings were done with the prints from the plates. These were the cuttings, and those were hand done by an artisan like you saw in the film. on the little wheel that was spinning around. The old movie Now Voyager with Betty Davis, there's a very tall Cambridge dimmer in it. This is the original door from the sample room at the factory. The original shelving, the original light, the clock. This is part of our gift shop. You are welcome to go in later and check it out if you'd like. The original boxes are not for sale. In fact, some of them are still filled. The big one in the back there, the middle has a punch bowl set. And somebody probably got it for their wedding and didn't use it, got moved to the attic or the basement, and yeah. Our dining room display this year is done in the Cambridge color Crown Tuscan. And early October, we'll be changing it again, and next year it will be the royal blue and gold. There you see your flying lady there. She's got silver on. No one's ever seen another one of those. And I hate to touch it, let me tell you. But something's one of a kind wool.
Right.
The light is Cambridge glass, but the Cambridge Glass Company did not make the chandelier. A lamp company would buy the glass inserts or pieces and globes, would assemble them and sell them on their own. Down here we have some of the Cambridge and Hollywood sightings. If you ever watched the vintage movie White Christmas with Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, there's Bing. He's toasting with the Cambridge champagne. These are older movies. The Thin Man has all of the tall Cambridge stemware all over the table. This is our newest one, the 1923, the TV series. Just this year, the Cambridge Martha Washington stemware is all around the table. This is the one that gets me. Okay, fancy Cambridge picture. These old westerns. Bonanza is an old western, and Gunsmoke. And then they wouldn't have had this fancy picture out west, but that's Hollywood. That's what they do. Our flying lady bull on the top, she was just featured in an article in Architectural Digest. If you've ever seen the old movie The Sting with Robert Redford and Paul Newman, there's one on each end of the bar filled with peanuts. Someone just saw this in an episode of Murder, She Wrote. It's on the floor by the bathtub. And there she is on the top banister in the movie House Center. Elvis Presley's playing the Lisa Marie, which is still on display. The Cambridge Scotch bottles and liquor bottles are there. Wild Wild West, he says stop or I'll spray with the Cambridge perfume bottle. Love to watch it. My favorite is the Vaughns toasting with the Cambridge champagne. In an episode of Holmes Makes It Right, they were toasting a home remodel in Jamaica with the Cambridge Amethyst Farber. Have you ever seen the old movie Top Hat? It's quite an extravagant production, but it's full of Cambridge rosebud. And here, this is the color that was in the dining room, Crown Tuscan. It was introduced in 1932. Now, the painting on this was done by a decorating company in New York City called Abels and Wasserberg. They would buy blank pieces of Cambridge and do the hand painting, and they would market them. Cambridge decorations are all etched with the gold filled. I always love to have that piece. I think it would make a great milkshake glass. Don't you? I could just see myself. So, in 1940, they opened the Cambridge Glass Company up for tours. And it had like 10,000 people a year. And at the end of the tour, everyone got one of the little pencil dogs or bridge hounds. Because they were very popular years ago when people played bridge. Everyone would have one to keep score. And there are the small 3-inch ones. Again, they were for nuts, mints, whatever. You can see the designs of the cuttings on these pieces are much more modern looking. We're getting into the late 40s and 50s now. Somebody told us at the factory they had a huge wooden barrel when the tour was over, and it was just filled with those little dogs. Mm-hmm. One man who was here, he said they took his 5th grade class there on a tour, And he said that day they were out of the little dogs. Do you know what they gave those fifth graders? Little ashtrays. I said, oh my gosh, today that would be national news. Fifth graders giving ashtrays. Right around the corner here on the bottom shelf, they introduced the Cambridge Square line. Notice that will have the square bases on them in 1950, and they won a lot of awards.
Oh, by the way, this is actually the very first piece of Cambridge.
Carmen again, nothing like the earlier Carmen. Same formula, but in much more mid-century shapes. I love these candlesticks. They're called calla lily candlesticks. I'll tell you what, you put a candle in those, they don't wobble at all. Now, Cambridge only made milk glass for 1 year in 1954. It's pretty, but milk glass just wasn't their thing. The bottom shelf there, you see the color Moonlight, which is very popular today. And these 4 cases, all of them are the Cambridge Caprice line and all the different colors it was made in. The Moonlight, La Rosa, of course, Crystal.
So if somebody wanted to recreate, like start their own glass company today, could they copy you guys since it's been closed?
They could do that, but they would have a lot of trouble doing the etchings and things because of the acid
Okay.
that was used years ago. They would have to have quality control and, you know, containers to put the EPA would be. And, you know, like the movie said, an average of 75 people to go through the process. They could do it if they had a lot of money.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
back this way, we have the last years, 1955 to 1958. Again, very 1950s looking. They, one of their last colors was Mardi Gras. And they were just trying to keep the doors open. Mardi Gras, the blower would gather a small amount of crystal. Then they had a little steel table with little pieces of different colors. So he would roll that crystal, or this hot ball of glass, and then he would blow it into the mold, which was all well and good, until it started to cool. And as the piece cooled very slowly, all the colors would expand and contract differently, and it would crack. So if you look at all these pieces, they're all just cut off, kind of wherever they crack. But guess what everybody wants today? Mardi Gras, because there's not much of it. This very 50s looking. I love that. That's a silver maple.
I get the flashlight.
Yes, would you pass that back? Somebody pass that back to her.
Thank you.
On this wall is a large mural of the factory. Again, it gives you an idea of how large it was. Now, this was the shipping dock at the factory. So the Baltimore and Ohio train would come in along the track, stop, they would load on all the barrels of glass, and off it went all over the country. This was the restaurant. It was out from the factory. It's probably Primrose. Oh, when they tore it down, you know, we would love to have had it. It would have been great to keep the front office building and then the first building, the hot metal department. But, I'd have had to get 4 or 5 or 20 jobs or something because it would have been a fortune. Anyway, on we go.
Put your legs up, man.
I know.
I told you years ago the company had their own restaurant, and we were fortunate enough years ago to interview a woman who had managed it. She said she would get up at 2 in the morning every day because they made 150 homemade pies every day for the restaurant. And back then, pie was what was popular. Not so much cake, but everybody wanted pie. But you know, this was just one of the benefits of working at the Cambridge Glass Company. You could go, you know, out to lunch every day, and the food was very reasonable. And it was all homemade. I'd like to go there for dinner. Cutting tables, the artisan would sit on a tall bench. The little carver on the wheel would spin. Water would slowly drip down to kind of keep it moving. And he would cut each piece individually. Herschel Hancock, you saw him in the Crystal Lady movie. He was the cutter. Well, at the time, Herschel Hancock lived in St. Cloud, Missouri. Mr. Bennett, who owned the Cambridge Glass Company, had heard about him, what a wonderful artisan he was. So he contacted Mr. Hancock and asked him if he'd come to Cambridge to work in the cutting department. Well, old Herschel was very smart, because Herschel told Mr. Bennett, I'll only move to Cambridge if I own the cutting department within the factory. That's job security. Mr. Bennett agreed, and of course back then, in the 1920s, 30s, to move a family from Missouri to Ohio would have been quite hard. But anyway, he came to Cambridge, so I don't know how they worked the paperwork on the finances, but he owned the cutting shop within the factory. Very smart man. One of the safes, when we got it back, it was a mess, so it was restored. The original company safe we'd love to have had, but there was no way we could get it out of there. And here's Mr. Bennett. He's working at his desk on his payroll now. And you can look at it. The names, there, how many hours they work, their rate per hour. Let's see, Mary Hawthorne, she worked 36 hours and she got 30 cents an hour. She worked in the selecting department, so her job would have been, like you saw in the movie, she would be looking at the pieces. If they were good, she'd pass them on. If they weren't, she'd throw them in the But the Cambridge Glass Company was very good to its employees, so they had a loyal group of people. Mr. Bennett also, since they owned their own coal mines, he would sell coal to his employees at a cheaper rate to heat their homes with. So that really helped him too. This was a page from National Geographic in 1955. This gentleman, August Heyman, they called him Augie, he blew this large ball to impress his girlfriend years ago. Well, evidently, he didn't stay with the girlfriend because the girlfriend must not have been impressed and she sold it to an antique dealer. But what's amazing is none of us have broken it yet. Let's stay away from it. Had their own cooper shop at the factory, made their own wooden barrels. They packed the glass in straw, put the wooden top on. Like I told you, the train would come in the shipping department that loaded the barrels on, and off it went all over the world. Now, this is the mold for the Swan Punch Bowl, and there's a Swan Punch Bowl up on the case back there on the top. It took 2 men to gather enough glass to fill the Swan Punch Bowl. That was a press mold. This is a blow mold. This pitcher would have been blown down into the mold. When it came out of the mold, like you saw in the movie, they applied the glass by hand. Now this is the pencil dog mold I showed you out there. So when the pencil dog came out of the mold, it came out with this extra glass on it. So they would cut it across there and then grind it down. So then you just have the little dog. We have the mold now. We'd love to have these made for a gift shop, but because of the hole, it's an extra step in making it, and nobody wants to fool with it. So, anyway, little doggy will just sit here. When the Cambridge Glass Company closed, several smaller companies opened: Boyd, Crystal Art Glass, Mosser, Guernsey, Variety, Degenhardt. Of course, they're all gone except for Mosser and Variety. When Cambridge closed, some of the molds got out, before our organization was ever formed. Most of it went down to Imperial. If you heard of Imperial Glass down in Blair, Ohio. When Imperial closed, our club had formed, didn't have much money, so bought some of it back. So some of them went up to a little glass company, Summit Art Glass, up in Ravenna, Ohio. When he closed, then we bought those back. So we've got most all of the molds back down. This shows you this is the mold for the little Cambridge advertising sign, a stem mold for the statuette, the stem mold. Stem molds are smaller, but again, that was just for the stem of the glass. People always ask us, well, what was that used for? Well, this was a banana split. The cake stands, the deviled eggs, the asparagus, oysters, lobster, corn. I just had my corn the other day on one of those. I love it because the butter melts and you can just roll right butter. In this case, from one mold, the finisher, the work with the glass when it's very hot and soft, from the same mold, he could flare it out, he could pull it up, he could do all these different shapes from the same mold. And these are the Cambridge swans, from the smallest, the 3-inch, to the 14-inch, plus SpongeBob. And I just love these, they're so cute. You could either use them with strawberries or shrimp. We have powdered sugar in there, but wouldn't that be fun to eat your strawberries? You could just dip them in the powdered sugar. We don't live right anymore, you know? It's like, so these are the Cambridge colors from the earliest down through all the many years to the late 50s. Cambridge did some private mold work. Years ago, there was a company called Yardley Cosmetics. They made the little pink jars for Yardley to fill with cream and powder, similar to the Cambridge Crown Tuscan color. So what was your favorite color, anyone?
Purple.
Purple.
Any of the blues?
Any of the blues, purple. You know, for me, it depends on what piece it is too, you know. It's kind of funny, I can't really pick a
There's some
favorite.
pretty nice pinks in general mixed in.
Even though I have a lot of Crown Tuscan, the pink, opaque pink, but I still like it all.
Yeah.
Like your violet one there. The
Oh,
one
yeah.
I bought one from Mosser and it was very similar to that.
They have some of the formulas, I think, the color formulas.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, across the hall, we have some of the original etching plates. You're welcome to sit down and do a pencil rubbing if you like. It's fun. Do some artwork. Okay, so these are the original plates. To start, an artist had to draw up the drawing, and then with acid and wax, he carved these designs in the plate. So, like this is the peacock. So what you do, the darker colors work best. I'll just do a little bit of him. There he is. So, you can't move your paper. So anyway, that's the start of it. So you can just look at all this is the scotch that was on Elvis Presley's airplane. We had a man in here a couple weeks ago. He did the scotch etching and he did different colors. And he sent us a message. He had taken it home, framed it, and hung it in his dining room. He was real proud. He goes, look what I did. So here's paper and sharpen this one. Look around and see which ones you like, and
one for you first. Like roses? Yeah, which one do you
where's
want?
that one?
Who you pick? You want roses? Yeah.
Oh, that's a pretty one.
Can it sit on top?
Yep. You can move them around. That's that Imperial Hunt.
Yeah.
What color do you want, Mom? Probably pink. You do it for me. You gotta do it. I can't.
Do you have any questions before I?
You want it like straight across? Sure. Gotta get 4 of them at least, you know.
The church's glass pattern is known today as tree glass. There would be approximately 200 original workers, locally in Jacob, Jacob Kent, Dagenhart, and
Let's show them that they're doing this sketching. Say that, Shannon, sign it. Oh, I will.
One of the unit families made the first piece of stained glass in 1902. I married Hugh in West Virginia in 1883, and the first of our 8 children was born the following year. Hugh was working as a presser at a glass plant in Wellsburg, West Virginia. In 1888, about 150 workers from the Wellsburg factory moved to a glass house in Finland. Then, as luck would have it, the supply of natural gas that was needed to power the furnaces, windows, and the factory closed in 1901.
Many of the glass workers and their families, including ours, made the Central Ohio.
No one could imagine a more beautiful spot for a classroom. People passing and the beginner trains always have something nice to make about the beautiful plant with its lawns and surroundings. Not only the grounds of the plant, but the entire plant is fully beyond science and study undertaken in the building of a glass factory. Think that every man that is employed at Corbett will eventually stay. You have a very good set of 914 notes that probably conquers your life and changes. 1949.
Glass on it though too, like.
I'd be paranoid I'd drop it.
Right. It's heavier than you would think.
All right, puff them out again.
I got you, Shan. Bada bing, bada boom. See ya.